Howdy, partners. This is Grant Carine, and your host of the Supreme Sports Show, Shooting and Hooping. And my guest is none other than the assistant coach of the Sierra Canyon men's basketball team. Give it up for Chris Madden. How's it going, Chris?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining me here. So, just some background here before we jump into the questions. So, Chris and his team ended up having a record of 30 wins and only 4 losses, ending up being ranked first in the Gold Coast Basketball League, first in the state, and they have ended up being second in the nation. And they have also won some major tournaments, like the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest, the Tarkanian Classic, and more. And finally, they made it all the way to the 2020 CIF Southern Section Boys Basketball Championship. Hopefully, by the end of your show, we can encompass the love for basketball. And now, let's start tip-off. How has coaching affected your life?
Coaching affected my life big time. Without me growing up without a father, I always looked up to like the coaches that coached me. And matter of fact, the coach that coached me in high school, he's now the Sierra Canyon basketball coach, and he gave me an opportunity to be able to coach these stellar athletes that we have now today.
Yeah, I can totally agree with you. When I was back in my basketball days, when I used to play or soccer, I used to look up to my coaches a lot because they have indeed not only practiced us for the soccer skills, but in life
Yes,
to be
absolutely.
better.
A lot of my like father figures and people I look up to are either half of my older coaches or just people that from the game of Spence that have that IQ of basketball that I can always pick their brains off.
Yeah, totally couldn't agree with you. Which brings to my next question: what would you try to teach your players besides basketball?
Just life. The reason why we play sports is to learn life experiences. So I think I'm a strong believer I think the youth should play as much sports as possible because there's a lot of life lessons within sports.
Couldn't agree with you more because our coach used to give us life lessons on how to become a better person,
Absolutely.
and not only to be better at the specific sport that they would coach us, but to also become a better person for everybody to respect us.
Yeah, one of my high school coach, he always gave us quotes, something to either like pick our brains or challenge us intellectually. So that's one thing I'm very thankful for is the game of sports where I raised my kids off that analogy of sports and all that. So not saying sports is my life, but it's it's a big part of my life.
Yeah, which moves on to my next question. What are your coaching goals? Are you working towards taking your current coaching skills to the higher position, or are you just wanting to remain at the position that you are at today?
Yeah, at this point, this is my 11th year coaching. So eventually, what I want to do is get to a college level. But I'm learning now. These last 3 years at Sierra Canyon, I learned a lot about myself, about what I can do, what I can accomplish, and just learn how to be more of a go-getter. But yeah, my goal and dream and aspirations is to be at the college level and maybe one day at the NBA level.
That's terrific to hear. Most coaches in life have a goal that they want to accomplish before it's time to set foot and to turn down the coaching
Yes, sir.
items, which moves on to my next question. Coaching on the court is only a small portion of a coach's job. Please describe what additional duties you feel go along with being an assistant coach. What additional duties are you capable of performing?
Oh wow, that's a good question. What we do, we obviously the players that we have and people that we have 7 people on staff, and we take a lot of trips this past season, and we get to know the kids on a different level. So we talk to them about personal stuff or whether they have girl problems, school problems, something to where we can give them our life experiences that we had growing up and pass it on to them. And also being an assistant coach, being our head coach gets gets a lot of flack from parents and other stuff, and obviously other kids. So what we try to do is kind of like take care of that stuff before he gets to it. Um, Especially being at a school like this, there's a lot a lot of side antics and also a lot of. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm on the phone, babe. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
No, it's a good.
Mama's bringing food. Sorry, I'm so
No,
sorry
it's
about
good,
that.
man. Continue.
But yeah, we get to learn these kids on a different level to where they tell us a lot of personal stuff that they won't either tell their parents or tell one of their our head coach Andre Chevalier. So we get a lot of that stuff, and like I said, we kind of nip on the butt before it gets to Coach Andre.
Do you think, when you guys travel with the team and bonding and this and that, do you think that's important for team chemistry and for your team to get close and to perform at a higher level moving forward?
Oh, big time, big time. This past season, we were blessed enough to go to China this past summer, and for 2 weeks, we got to learn. We have a Chinese kid on our team named Harold Yu. We got to experience the stuff that he experienced when he first came to the States, because he didn't. Obviously, there was a language barrier. He didn't know how to read signs. He didn't really speak to a lot of people. So when we went out there, we had an opportunity to feel what he felt when he first came to the States. So, and I think that gelled well with our players, get to know him a little bit better. So that was big for us. And also, we do a lot of trips where, like retreats. We went to San Diego for 2 or 3 days. We do a lot of stuff outside of basketball, team bonding stuff that we do before season for them to get to know each other. Obviously, we get a lot of transfers, so we also do all that stuff. Team bonding trips. We have a lot of locker room talks that we just leave in the locker room and doesn't get out. So outside of coaching, we do a lot of mentorship, and also like I said, we get to know these kids on a whole different level.
Right. So going back to the trip that you guys took in China with your whole squad and coaching staff, how was that experience life in China?
Um, oh, China was different. It almost reminds me of what it is now. Everybody's wearing masks. There were a lot of people out. The food barrier was a little different. A lot of our players lost weight because they didn't like the food.
Oh wow.
Meanwhile, I love fried rice, so it was up my alley. We had fried rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I couldn't get enough of it. But it was a good experience to see how. That's my first time out the country, to learn, see a different culture and how they operate. How blessed and thankful we are in the states of California. USA. It was a good experience for us, and I think we got back to LA, and we kind of we bond better, and also we didn't take anything for granted after that trip.
It definitely is a different experience, especially leaving the country to discover a different region and religion. It's definitely a different experience.
Big time, big time.
Next question. How much pressure do you and your coaching staff have due to coaching some players that are specially prepared to play at the next level of basketball?
Oh, it's a lot of pressure. Obviously, we have a lot of NBA DNA in our program, even dating back to Scottie Pippen and Kenya Murray and those guys. Our pressure, really, we don't really feel a lot of pressure because we take care of the lot of stuff that we need to take care of as far as practicing hard, playing a good schedule, getting our guys prepared. So the pressure is for us, obviously, us performing well, but I think that we take care of everything beforehand to when we get in games, we can just coach. We do a lot of scouting. We do a lot of watching film. So we do all our homework before we get to the test, if that makes sense, going into game time. So us, pressure, yes, there's pressure, but we don't feel it because we take care of all of our responsibilities.
I couldn't agree with you more. Without taking care of these situations in the right moment, you definitely won't have the task in the completed in good way.
Like I said, even in practice, we go over a lot of situational things to where, like Ziarie making that shot against Etowanda, where we put someone on the clock. You're down 3. You have 25 seconds. You got to get a bucket and a stop. or vice versa, you're down one, you got 12 seconds. So we put them in those situations in practice. So when we get into games, it can be easy for us.
And going back when you were saying these are NBA DNA players that it's in your program, how do you guys bring these players? Like, do you guys scout them, or do you guys like how is it that you guys bring these special players to your squad?
For the first part of that, Ziarie Williams is a great high school. Anybody with some type of they want to do they want to have the best of both worlds, where there is education and sports. I think Ziarie Williams is a good opportunity for any young athlete to go to. Any young athlete to go to, because they'll challenge you in the classroom, because the ratio is about 1-10, 1-12, and also our schedule really presents us to be the best and play the best anytime, anywhere. So I think the school speaks for itself as far as players going there.
Alrighty, why did you decide to pursue this career?
Growing up, I think it dates back to my mom buying me my first court when I was 8 years old. And at that point, I just knew that basketball was something I wanted to do further along. Obviously, I played the rest of the way. But once I was done with my basketball career, my good friend and the guy who coached me, Osiris Dawes, he coached me when he was at Cleveland, and also he was a head coach at Cleveland at the time. He gave me my first opportunity to coach, and I was with him for 6 years. So he was the one that really put my stamp as far as basketball goes along, and he taught me the game of basketball from a different standpoint. And obviously after that, I went to a school called Rest Ranch out in Valencia, where I learned pretty much a whole different style of basketball. Obviously at Cleveland, we have a lot of ethnic kids, so it was easier to coach those kids, and they were very athletic. Going back to a school in Valencia called Rest Ranch, where we wasn't that athletic, so it challenged me a lot to coach a different style of basketball. And when I got to Ziarie Williams, I had the best of both worlds as far as coaching the lesser talent and also the talent that can be brought up. So when I got to Ziarie Williams, it was just like a walk in the park for me, because, like I said, I've been through the ringer, and I coach all type of level of kids. But like I said, there was a lot of pressure, like you said earlier, for the NBA athletes, as the parents that's there. But for the most part, it was great for us. I learned basketball from a young age, and like I said, I never turned around after that.
What were your feelings when you were coaching your first basketball game?
Oh man, a funny story. When I coached my first basketball game was on accident. The guy I was coaching with, Osiris Dawes, my first fall league game, he got kicked out.
Oh.
and I was the only assistant there at the time. So this is like the first half. So I'm like, oh man, I barely knew the players. It was like, okay, well, let's do this, let's do that. And another funny part to that is, so the game's going on, and all I hear is psst, psst. I'm like, what the heck is that sound? and it's the coach that got kicked out. He's behind me in the bleachers telling me what to do and stuff. So that helped out a lot, and we ended up winning that game. But that was a funny moment where I got thrown into the fire.
That sure must have been a really fun story. Next question. What are your academic and behavioral expectations for your players both on and off the court?
Oh, off the court, obviously, we want them to maintain a 2.5 GPA. We put them in the best classes to challenge themselves, and something that they can take with them to college and obviously to NBA once they get there. So we challenge them big time. We have study hall on our road trips. We bring tutors with us on road trips, and also one of our assistant coaches, he's a teacher, and he's also able to help them out with academics on our road trips. And obviously on the court, we challenge them big time, from watching film to we have about 15, 20 plays, offensive plays that they must know, and also about 7 to 10 defenses that they must know on the fly. So we challenge them big time as far as off the court, educational wise, and also on the court to remembering plays. And because, when you get to college, you have maybe 20, 30 plays you might have. And when you get to the NBA, you have 82 games. You got to go over scouting reports, plays and stuff, and some plays that you might scratch, and you might have to pick up new plays within the next game. So we challenge them that way and get them prepared for the next level.
That is surely tremendous that you guys aren't just letting these kids focus on only on their on getting ready for the game, but also to do well on their schoolwork, which is being tutors and even having coaches to help you guys out too. That's really tremendous.
Yeah, we like I said, everybody outside looking in, they think this is probably, it's all easy. We just roll the ball out and they just come out and play. No, it's a lot of things and stuff that we do to prepare ourselves to play those games.
Yeah, nothing's easy unless you work hard for it. Then the work just gets easier for you.
Absolutely.
What is your philosophy on discipline?
Oh, we're big on discipline. So to start with, like we make sure they have the same practice uniforms. When we go on road trips, they must wear the same outfit everybody's wearing, all the way down to the top to the shoes. So we want to be as uniform as possible, and we know that if they're uniformed and disciplined that way, that stuff will lead on to the court. Even as far as like running suicides, we make them touch the lines. Discipline is big for us because, as I told you earlier, it goes into life, So if we have that discipline off the court, on the court, it should be able to obtain and we help our structure out for what we want to do, and even our culture for down the road for our new players coming in.
Couldn't agree with you more. This is why Sierra Canyon is indeed always every year one of the best schools when it comes to basketball. All right, so what are your upsides and downsides of coaching?
The upside, I would say the upside is, especially coaching at a school like this, the elite level, the upside is getting to travel. I met Scottie Pippen, Kmart, LeBron, Tellis Frank, who's also one of our kids on our team, Taryn Frank. To get to know those guys on a personal level is pretty cool. And also just coaching these caliber of kids, that's the upside. We, on top of my head, we probably have, from the last 3 years, we probably have 10 D1 players that we graduated that went on to play Division I basketball. The downside, I think the downside with coaching here is spending time away from the family. We practice a lot. We have coaches meetings. We do meet a lot. Obviously, the travel, that can take a toll on me in missing my family. So that's, if there's a downside, that's the only downside that I have. But the kids know, and my wife knows that obviously it's bigger than all of us.
All right, to our final question. Chris, you have great players that you coached throughout your years. Which player would you say has made it the farthest?
At this point, because we've been there for 3 years, our first year we had a player named Dwayne Washington. Came from Michigan, real good player. The nephew of Derek Fisher. He's now at Ohio State on his 3rd year, approaching his 3rd year. So he's, as far as this point, he's the player that went the farthest within college. But also we have Cassius Stanley and Kenyon Martin, who's applied for the NBA draft this upcoming year. So those two can be one of the top guys that going the furthest from our tenure at Ziarie Canyon.
All right, and that's the final buzzer. Thanks for joining me, Chris. Would you like to add anything during the post game?
Oh no, I'm just happy that you gave me the opportunity to speak and to be here, and like I said, take some time away from running around and being able to talk about basketball with you. It's a blessing.
Even with this COVID-19 pandemic, we can still talk about the things that we love, which is basketball.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just trying not to gain the COVID 15 pounds. Like I said, we're lucky enough to have the technology to still be able to talk something like this, and also you still be able to see your friends and family through FaceTime or via Zoom. So,
Couldn't agree with you more, man. It's
so we're
different. Without the modernized technology, just it'll be really hard to talk with family or to watch workout videos or even to watch basketball highlights or other sport highlights and games, and so what.
absolutely.
Thanks for joining me again on Shooting and Hooping. Adet.